If you need to transition a paper registration system online, or you're just looking for an easy way to create registration forms online, then Google Forms is a great option. It's so easy to use, customize, access all of your data in one place, and you can make them look visually appealing very, very quickly. So let me show you how to create an online registration form with Google Forms. So to get started, you can go into your Omnibox right up here and just type in forms.new, hit enter, and a new Google form will appear. Or inside of Workspace, you can go to your waffle over here in the upper right-hand corner, click on Google Apps, and go down to Google Forms, and then click Create Blank Form here. Okay, so once you have your Google form, you're gonna wanna label this form. That way you can easily find it in your Drive, and then so it also makes sense for people filling out the form. So for this form, it's a parish religious education registration form. So that's my title right here. And then you also have the option to add in a form description here just to kind of give people more directions if you would like. So now I'm going to start adding in my questions, and Google Forms has quite a few question types. And to view the question types, I'm just going to select this first question box that's already added in here. And over on the right-hand side, you can see that multiple choice is listed right here. So if I select this, you'll see an entire drop down of all of the question options. So there's short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, drop down, file upload, and then some other types that you probably won't use as much: linear scale, rating, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, date, and time. So a ton of options, but don't get overwhelmed with this whole list. For most forms, you will find yourself using a combination of the same 3 to 4 question types. So let's go ahead and start building out this form, and you can see a few question types in action and how easy it is to create this. So first up, this is going to be a longer form. And rather than have people scroll through a long form with tons of questions, I'm going to create sections, and I can keep all the questions organized by section. So this registration process uses multiple paper forms. So I'm creating sections based on each paper form. I don't do this for every type of form, but when it is longer, this just makes it an easier user experience. So to create a section, I'm going to navigate to this floating toolbar over here that you can see by this question. And at the bottom, you can see these 2 rectangle boxes that almost looks like a thick equal sign. So when I hover over it, it says add section. So I'm going to click that. And now I have this new section right here. So I'm going to give it a title right here. This is my title for this section. So now I want this question up here to be in this section. So I'm going to go up to the top of the question box, and you'll see these dots appear and my cursor changes. I'm going to click, hold, and drag this question down underneath this section. So now my question is here in this section, and I can customize this. So I want this first question to be multiple choice. I'm going to keep that the same over here and add in my details. Okay, so I've added in my question, and you can just select the box, type in your question, and then I've added in the multiple choice options. And again, you would just select that section right there and just type in your response option. So super easy. But one important thing to note is that in the bottom of the question here, you can toggle this button on to make the question required. So people filling out the form cannot move on to the next section or submit the form without answering the question. So I'm going to toggle mine on, but it's up to you and your specific needs for this form. So now I'm going to add another question in this section by going back to that same toolbar that's hovering by this question box and select the plus button at the top to add a question. So this one will be a short answer question. So I'm going to select that drop down and then select that option right here. And so I've just typed in the question right here, and I'm going to toggle this on to be required. So next, let's create a drop-down question. So again, I'm going to go to this plus button, select add a question, and then change the type to drop-down. So I want the parents filling this out to be able to select their grade level from a list of all of the grades already there. So I have the question right here, and now for each of these options, I'm just going to add in each grade level. Okay, so those are all there. And this list is how they will appear on the dropdown, which is perfect because they're going in order. So I'm going to make this question required as well. And you can see just how quick and easy it is to add different types of questions. This has literally taken seconds for me to do. So I've continued building this form out with different question types, and you can see that it is pretty extensive. I have different sections here based on those forms that I mentioned in the beginning. But I want to show you a few advanced options to really get the most out of Google Forms. So the first thing I want to highlight is that you can have additional sections on your form that you only need a select group of people to fill out, but you don't want to waste everyone's time and have them go through the questions. So for example, I have this question right here. Do you need to register an additional child? And based on how people answer this question, I will send them to different sections on my form. So if I click on this question, you can kind of see what I have. So if they select yes, they will go to the next section, which right here is registering a second child. If they say no, then they'll go to section 4. So they'll skip this section entirely. They won't even see it. And they'll go right to this section 4 on baptism details. So this is really helpful. And one thing to note is that it only works on multiple choice questions. If you use checkboxes, it will not work because you need them to select only one option. And using the checkbox question allows them to select multiple options, so it won't work. So it's super simple to set this up. I have my multiple question right here, and I'm going to go to these 3 dots right here in the bottom right-hand corner that says more options. I'm going to select that. And then you'll see the option go to section based on answer. So I'm going to click that. And then you'll see these different options appear by each question with a drop down of all of my sections. And I can select which one they need to go to. So if they select yes, I need them to go to section 3 for the registration for their second child. And then for no, they're going to continue on to that 4th section and skip the 3rd one altogether. So by each response, I've selected the correct section to send people to. And this is why it's also really important to name your sections, because it's just helpful for you building this on the back end. But it just saves people time answering questions, and they're not going through questions that aren't relevant to them. And one quick thing to note for this next section is that even though only some of the people will see this section on the form based on their response to this question, you can still mark these questions as required, and they will only be required for the people who actually see this section. So others won't have issues submitting this form if they select no. So you can see that I have a lot of sections on this form, and this is a longer, more detailed form, but I create forms all the time that have just a few sections, or they don't have sections at all, and it's like 6 questions. So don't feel like you have to create this long of a form every single time. It needs to work for you, but I just want to show you what's possible and that you can create a really detailed form inside of Google Forms. But I want to show you first how you can change the design on this form. So I like to first create a header image that will go at the top of my form, and then Google Forms will automatically customize the colors based on the colors in the image, which is really helpful. So to create a custom image to fit in the banner up here, you'll need to create an image in the size of 1600 pixels wide by 400 pixels high. So I prefer to use Canva to create these header images for my Google Forms just because it's really quick and easy. And if you search for Google Forms under templates inside of Canva, you'll get tons of different responses already in the size that you need, which is super easy. And you can also get more specific if you're looking for a certain type of header image. So I've created a Canva template of different banners that you can make a copy of and customize. It'll be linked below this video. And you can come in here and you can customize the text, the color, and the images to make them work for your unique form. So I'm actually going to use this one right here. And so to save this to my device so I can then upload it to my Google Forms, I'm going to go up to Share in the upper right-hand corner and select Download, select the page that I want. It's already set to PNG. You want to use PNG or a JPEG file. And I'm going to select download. So that's been saved to my device. And now I'm back in Google Forms. So right up here in this top menu bar up here, I'm going to go to this like painter's palette that says customize theme. So I'm going to select that. And then here's where you could change the text style and all of that and the size. But right below the text style, you'll see header. So I'm going to select choose image. I'm going to go to upload because I have that saved on my device. I'm going to find that file, drop it right there. It's already formatted correctly. If you have a different size, it will allow you to crop it to fit in this box, but that's why I recommend using the correct Google Forms size that I mentioned earlier, or using the templates because it just makes it that much easier. I'm going to select done, and that popped into my form right here, and that also automatically changed the colors inside of my Google form, which is really, really helpful. So it did a pretty good job of picking out the colors, but I kind of don't love this green. I feel like it kind of clashes with the color up above. So to change that and add in a custom color, you're just going to need your hex number. And you can easily find that by selecting the color inside of Canva and then copying the hex number that pops up. So now I'm going to add that custom color into my design. So over here under header, you'll see the color section. I'm going to select plus, and right here in this hex box, I'm going to paste in that color and select add. And now it's updated that form color for me, so it just matches and looks a bit more cohesive. So super quick and easy to really customize the design of the form and make it look professional and visually appealing. So now let's take a quick peek at the settings, and there are two things that you will want to look at. So at the top here, I'm going to click on settings. So I'm going to scroll down to defaults right here, and under form defaults, I find that it's always helpful to collect the form responder's email address in case you need to follow up or if you have any questions. So I'm going to click on the caret arrow right here, and you can see that it's set to do not collect. So I'm going to click on the caret arrow right here and select responder input. If you select verify, then people will be prompted to sign into their Google account, and not all of the people responding to your form might have a Google account, so it just gets a little messy. So I prefer to do responder input. There might be errors, but it just kind of saves you some hassle of people having to log in and having questions about that. So again, this just depends on your unique needs. So then the other thing you're going to want to look at is if you want to send the form responder an email with a copy of their response. I find that this is a nice step to confirm that people filled out your form. And sometimes people will fill out your form and forget to press submit. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top, and under responses right here where it says send responders a copy of their response, it's currently off. I'm going to click that drop down menu and say always. Okay. So now let's publish and share this form. So in the top right-hand corner, I'm going to go to this purple button that says publish. I'm going to click on that. So this has recently moved. It was under settings and now it's under the publish button, but this is how you will manage who can fill out your form. So if you want only people within your organization to fill out your form, so let's say you have a custom school domain for your Google account, then it will only allow people within your organization to fill out the form. So they must have their email address ending in what this domain is. You can see mine is d4learning.com just for this example. So this doesn't work for most of the forms I create, and I have responders from all different organizations with all different types of email addresses. So to change this, I'm going to select manage right here to the right. And then under responder view, I'm going to select that domain and where the little caret arrow is, and then say anyone with the link. So now anyone can respond to this form, regardless of what their email address is. So I'm going to select done and then select publish. And then you'll see this responder link pop up, and I can select copy to get this responder link. And then I can paste this into an email or wherever I need to share this with the right people. So now with Google Forms, all the responses are stored in one easy place. And to access them from your form, you will click on responses right here in the top of your form. And right now I don't have any responses. But once people did start responding to the form, all my responses will populate right here. And then to kind of easily see each unique response, you're going to want to link this to a sheet. So right here, I'm going to select link to sheets. I'm going to create a new spreadsheet with the same name so I can easily find it. Select create, and then it will create a Google sheet with all of their responses, and it will be updated as people respond to the form. So you have all your data easily stored in one place. So hopefully you found this video helpful and you can see just how easy it is to create an online form with Google Forms, make it look visually appealing, and have all of your data stored in one place. So I hope you give Google Forms a try if you haven't already, and thanks so much for watching.